go to libraries outside of our community because the one here was so small and didn't offer as much resources.
Residents of one San Diego neighborhood celebrate a new addition to the community today.
I am absolutely certain that we are moving towards a world with electrified transportation.
Going off the grid, a San Diego company is looking to power your car with the sun.
Ma'am, your son's been shot. I didn't believe him. I didn't.
Playing a dangerous game, investigators find there are more accidental shootings involving children than we think. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. Skyline Hills celebrated the opening of a brand new library today, just 2 months after the old branch was demolished. KPBS video journalist Katie Shulev was there for the ribbon cutting.
Hundreds of kids from nearby schools got high fives from Mayor Kevin Faulkner as they streamed in through the newly opened doors of the 15,000 square foot Skyline Hills Branch Library.
I was so excited because we met the mayor today, and also I could go inside there and look at new books like sports books.
It's really cool because it's a really big library and it looks really cool to go inside.
Nearby, the Bell Middle School Orchestra performed in the library's new indoor-outdoor community space. Julie Macias was among the first inside with her 2- and 3-year-old sons. She was born and raised in Skyline Hills.
We go to libraries outside of our community because the one here was so small and didn't offer as much resources, especially for the kids. So now it's going to be nice that we get to be local and come just 3 minutes away from our house. So that'll be a big change for us and it'll be very nice.
The library offers 52 computers, artwork, and special areas for kids and teens. There's also scheduled activities like a resume workshop and preschool story time. The former Skyline Hills branch was built almost 50 years ago.
The great council member from District 4, Councilmember Myrtle Cole.
The area's councilwoman, Myrtle Cole, says the new one is 3 times bigger.
This is a long time coming. We waited a year for this, and now this is over a $13 million facility. And this community, this district deserves it. So that's why I'm overcome and excited.
Mayor Faulkner says this is the first library branch to open in San Diego in 10 years. Katie Shulev, KPBS News.
The statewide Schools Not Prisons Arts and Music Tour stops in San Diego tonight. The free event features well-known singers and community leaders calling for an end to overspending on prisons. They want more investment in education and safety. KPBS reporter Steve Walsh is at the Jacobs Center in southeastern San Diego. Steve, what's going on down there?
All right, so Ebony, we're here for the Schools Not Prison Arts and Music Tour. This is a collection of groups that are calling for less spending on punishment, more investment in education, health, and community-based safety. Among the headliners here, and we were hoping to get him if he came in the door, was the singer Aloe Black, who has the hits like The Man and Wake Me Up. It looks like we're going to miss him by just a few minutes here. But earlier I talked with Pedro Rios with the American Friends Services Committee. That's a San Diego-based organization. His issue is the money being spent on private immigrant detention.
We know that every year the U.S. spends upwards of $2.1 billion on immigrant and refugee detention, many of whom should not be detained. They could have a better opportunity to improve their lives if they are together with their families and not being traumatized for being detained.
This is a pretty wide range of issues that we're talking about. Do normally all these groups get together?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is an opportunity to have an intersection of groups that are working essentially to improve the lives of many people. And when we specifically focus on immigrant detention or on prisons, then we know that the priorities haven't been lined up. So we want to make sure that we highlight the importance of education, the importance of schools as a way to really redeem our state, our society, and offer better opportunities for those who shouldn't be in prison.
Boy, I mean, in one way, this is a really great time for this, a couple weeks from the election, but though on the other hand, are some of these issues being kind of drowned out right now?
Well, I don't necessarily think so. I think that obviously there are a lot of distractions and there are a lot of issues that are coming up, but I think showing that so many people are interested in this, it means that it's an important issue for California. And I know that California voters overall approve of the idea that people should not be incarcerated when there are opportunities to improve their lives by offering them schooling, for instance. And so that's what we're really aiming to do here.
All right, the concert again begins at 5:30. This is a free concert, so I guess you can probably still come on down if you want to. This is a part of a 12-city tour. Again, it starts at 5:30. Reporting live from the Jacob Center for Neighborhood Innovations, Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
Thank you, Steve. The U.S. Department of Transportation has issued an emergency order banning Samsung Galaxy Note 7 from all airline flights. The phone can't be carried on board or checked in. Passengers with the phone will have it confiscated and may face fines. Samsung recalled more than 2.5 million of the smartphones and discontinued the product earlier this week after several reports of them catching fire. The flight ban takes effect tomorrow morning. House Speaker Paul Ryan is campaigning in Madison, Wisconsin today. He talked about the, quote, gloominess that Hillary Clinton is seeking to impose on America.
It's a place where liberty is always under assault, where passion, the very stuff of life, is extinguished. That is the America Hillary Clinton wants.
What Ryan didn't talk about was Donald Trump. Ryan is under siege from fellow Republicans for his unwillingness to help his party's presidential candidate. His comments today were his first in public since he told the GOP colleagues that he would no longer defend or campaign for Trump. President Barack Obama was also on the stump today, campaigning for Hillary Clinton in Ohio. Obama was interrupted briefly by a pro-Trump protester shouting about Bill Clinton and rape allegations.
I noticed this has been happening everywhere, and I keep on telling folks, you got to organize your own rallies. Don't, you know, if you're confident about the other guy, just go to his rallies.
Obama said America is better than Trump's remarks about women, minorities, and other groups. The days of taking surveys on the phone may be over. California's Field Poll has launched a series of online surveys to collect opinions on 17 statewide ballot measures. Officials say research shows people are willing to share more information over the internet than they are with a live person on the phone. California's Prop 63 is known as the Safety for All initiative. It supports tougher gun control. But as KCET's Val Zavala explains, if the measure passes, not much would change.
Prop 63 in 1 minute. Prop 63 would require background checks for anyone who wants to buy ammunition in California. It would also outlaw large capacity magazines. No, not these magazines, the kind used in automatic weapons. Now, if you're in favor of gun control, you would vote for Prop 63. But get this, after the San Bernardino shootings, the California legislature passed a package of tough gun and ammo laws, and Governor Brown signed them. So Prop 63 is, well, kind of redundant. Still, Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom is pushing for it. He says there are some things in it that are not in the new laws, and he correctly points out that when voters pass a proposition, only voters can change it, so it's more permanent. Who's on the other side? As you'd imagine, the NRA and state gun rights groups. They oppose it for all the regular reasons. It infringes on our Second Amendment rights. But even if they convinced voters to reject Prop 63, hey, most of it is already law. To sum up, a yes vote means you're in favor of tougher ammo laws and background checks. A no vote means things stay the same.
You can find all of our election coverage online at kpbs.org/voter guide. That's where you can find more in-depth information on candidates, plus local and state ballot measures. In 2014, investigators found more than 100 people died in accidental shootings involving children. AP reporter Peter Banda explains why these cases often go unreported.
A precocious 4-year-old Bryson loved the comic book hero Iron Man.
He would run around the house going pew, pew at everybody, and he would put on his mask.
Bryson Mies Hernandez was spending the night at his grandparents' house in January when Crystal Mies got a late-night phone call. An officer met her at the hospital.
Ma'am, your son's been shot. I didn't believe him. I didn't. He was in a safe spot. He was at his grandparents'. How did he get shot?
Bryson had found a loaded handgun under his grandparents' bed and fatally shot himself in the head. An accidental shooting involving a child, part of new data which suggests these types of deaths are significantly undercounted. An AP USA Today network investigation found that in 2014 there were 113 unintentional shooting deaths involving children. The official figure from the CDC was 74, the only year with comparable figures.
911. Yes, ma'am. There's a little boy that was shot another little boy up at the Livingston Motel. Okay.
4-year-old Cameron Price died last year when his 6-year-old brother found a pistol in a $30 a night hotel where adults had been using drugs. Cameron was there with his brother and family. The boy told police he pushed what he called the bad button. He understood his brother wasn't coming home.
I don't wish that on anybody, but it's continuing. And I mean, we have small kids that are losing their life. We have teenagers that are losing their life. He was just an angel that was on borrowed time.
The AP and USA Today found 326 deaths over 2.5 years of data that revealed startling patterns. Deaths and injuries increase for children under 5. They increase again at ages 15 to 17. Shootings are more likely to occur during the weekends or around holidays such as Christmas.
Never put the finger on the trigger until you're actually ready to shoot.
Research by the federal government has been curtailed after a National Rifle Association-supported law enacted 20 years ago cut the CDC's funding for research into gun violence. The NRA, in a statement, says about the law that it's not opposed to such research, but opposes advocacy disguised as research. The NRA says safety has been at the core of the NRA mission since its inception. Mark Rosenberg led the CDC's research into gun violence in the 1990s. He says research into unintentional firearm shootings can save lives.
You can do both. You can prevent gun violence without taking everyone's guns away.
He got these for Christmas, and he never actually got to play with them.
Bryson's death has prompted Crystal Mies to seek tougher penalties in Texas against adults who allow children access to loaded firearms.
The only way to protect this from happening is to pick your guns up, put them up top, do not store them loaded.
Lessons which have been learned through tragedies, not government research. Peter Banda, Associated Press, Houston.
The man charged with the murder of 2 Palm Springs police officers had pleaded not guilty. John Hernandez Felix is accused of killing officers Jose Gilbert Vega and Leslie Zerebny. The officers came to his family home on a domestic disturbance call Saturday. Another officer was wounded during what turned out to be a 12-hour standoff. Felix also pleaded not guilty to attempted murder and other felonies. Just weeks after expansion announcements, Escondido-based craft beer maker Stone Brewing is laying off employees. In a statement, CEO Dominic Ingalls said the company had to make a tough decision to restructure its staff. This after added pressure from what he says big business companies put on them. This move impacts 5% of Stone's staff. This year, Stone opened 2 new locations, including one in Germany. The company also announced plans for a new hotel, Stone Hotel, in Escondido. Electric cars are part of California's clean air plans. By 2025, leaders hope to have 1.5 million EVs on the road. Today, I spoke to the CEO of Envision Solar International about his company's EV charging stations that are totally off the grid. Envision Solar International leaders say their products let people drive on sunshine. CEO Desmond Wheatley. Thank you.
But the great thing is that the sunshine-powered chargers are just as fast as the grid-tied chargers.
Envision Solar designs and makes transportable solar-powered electric vehicle charging stations in San Diego. Colin Santulli is the director of clean transportation at the Center for Sustainable Energy.
That's the pinnacle right there, using solar power to charge your vehicle, being completely off the grid. And Envision Solar's product is a fantastic example of that.
California drivers can choose from 30 different electric car models. 5% of cars sold in San Diego are EVs.
We're on the trajectory to get there, but we need more charging stations and we need more awareness about electric vehicles.
Here's Wheatley.
I am absolutely certain that we are moving towards a world with electrified transportation, and I am absolutely certain that people will charge their vehicles from renewably energized, locally generated and stored electricity, and we're in the lead.
How would you like to see a map of your brain? That may soon be possible thanks to the National Institutes of Health. They awarded UC San Diego's brain research teams over $2 million to study brain activity. The plan is to create maps of brain movement like breathing and swallowing. Scientists hope the funding leads to a neurotech industry in San Diego that rivals the biotech economy.
Election coverage continues with a look at local political fallout from Donald Trump's comments about women. A dive into the contentious and expensive drive for District 3 supervisor. And we ask why Measure A's solution to traffic woes seems a hard sell. That's on the Roundtable tonight at 8:30.
A piece of history now preserved. The National Park Service received the flag of a battleship that bombed Pearl Harbor. The flag belonged to the ship of the man credited with planning the attack. Former U.S. Navy sailor Robert Hartman took the flag after Japan surrendered, and now his daughter donated it. She says she remembers using it as a blanket when she was growing up.
It's overwhelming, and it feels good in my heart, you know, that it's going somewhere where it's going to be taken care of and where children, adults, different countries can see this, you know, especially here.
The flag now serves as a reminder of the attack on U.S. soil. Park officials are still deciding how they'll display it. It looks like beach weather this weekend with clear skies and warm temps in the 70s in San Diego. Shanae Shocker has that and more in tonight's forecast.
Well, there's that strong storm system just off to our north. That's what's been bringing some very strong rain to the northwest and as well as Northern California. So definitely wet weather that's needed. Unfortunately, here in San Diego County, we're not seeing very much of it and not really even getting too much cloud cover from it as well. Check out the satellite. Really nothing going on in the area. Now along the coast, we are seeing some cooler conditions as we have some onshore breezes, and tonight we're seeing lows around 63 degrees. We'll have those clouds begin to increase throughout the evening, and they'll begin to die off tomorrow morning as well as throughout the afternoon. So check out for the county tonight's forecast, looking cool across the board. Mecca, though, is staying warmer, 64 degrees, 60 degrees in Borrego Springs, but out in Ramona, 46 degrees. San Diego here in the metro area staying cooler, 63 degrees, and comfortable. Chula Vista at 59 degrees out there. Now here's your setup for Saturday. We have off to our north that system that's bringing in quite a bit of rain as well as gusty winds along the coast. So if you are headed out for the weekend into the northwest or northern parts of California, just be wary as you're driving on those roads. There could be some flooding as well. Now, just south of that system, along the coast, staying cool, but on the interior portions, it's going to be starting to warm up as well. So check out what we're going to be seeing as far as along the coastal regions. Your 5-day outlook staying in the mid-70s. Will cool off, though, come Monday, the beginning of your work week. But that sun will remain shining through Tuesday as well as into Wednesday. But those temperatures do get very warm come Wednesday, 87 degrees. Not feeling like fall anymore come midweek next week. Now, for the inland portions, you're going to see those temperatures rise into the upper 70s for your weekend. Monday, they'll begin to drop off, but check that out. On Tuesday, 83 degrees, and then we jump up near 96 degrees. Could be near record-breaking temperatures for this time of year. The middle of the week next week. Your lows, though, will stay in the 50s for most of the time. Now, in the mountain regions, it's definitely cooler and more comfortable throughout the entire weekend and into next week. Check this out. We're sitting in the mid to upper 60s come your Saturday. And then on Sunday, you're in the lower 60s, 63 degrees. These lows staying in the 40s going into your work week next week. and we're not seeing any precipitation, which is quite nice. So beautiful weather ahead, and especially for the beginning of your work week next week. We will raise temperatures back up into the upper 60s come Wednesday. Now for the deserts, it's going to stay hot, but Monday we do get down into the upper 80s. And then we get into the low 90s back on Tuesday. So staying warm, be drinking water as you head out to do your activities over the weekend, because it is going to be a hot one. For KPBS News, I'm Shanae Shocker.
The show that may be San Diego's biggest concert ever, Rise Up, is a cross-border event featuring performances from 18 top Latin artists, including Alejandro Sanz, Julieta Venegas. It will be held tomorrow at the Cross-Border Express, right on the edge of Otay. Event organizers say the concert is meant to celebrate unity. Tickets are free, so big crowds are expected. The concert will be broadcast live on Univision and Fusion networks, as well as on Facebook Live and other outlets. Dizzier looks to a border story, but within the context of a genre film that pits two characters against each other in the desert. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando spoke to the stars Gael Garcia Barnell and the director Jonas Caron about their new film.
Jonas, there's a lot of stories about the border. What did you want to tell that you felt was different with this particular film?
When I started working on this project 10 years ago, my main interest was to make a movie that spoke both about migration but also about this rhetoric of hatred that keeps being promoted in societies, this hatred towards foreigners, migrants.
Oh, now you're catching on.
It'd be interesting to do it through a genre film, a horror movie, because that way you don't try to rationalize with your audience, you just drag them and make them go through the horror. So I really, when I started it, the idea was to write something that maybe people would criticize as being far-fetched. The sad thing is that 10 years later, now that the movie's coming out in this electoral year, which has bombarded the country with so much hatred, I really don't think it's so far-fetched.
I heard you talk about the film in the context of being a genre film, like Jonas was talking about, and comparing it to action films in the 70s and 80s. And was that part of the appeal, was that it was kind of taking this genre approach to a social issue like this?
And I always mention Rambo, but I don't know if I haven't noticed your excitement when I mentioned that.
No, actually, yesterday I was going to bring up, when you brought up that I keep mentioning Duel, because obviously to me that was the obvious reference, but maybe, yeah, it's interesting to see Dizzier as a Mexican Rambo.
As a Mexican Rambo.
Action. Talk a little bit about the casting of Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He's not playing it as just this kind of stereotypical kind of a redneck kind of character. He's got some charisma to him, which doesn't necessarily make him sympathetic, but he's an interesting character in a way that you don't normally expect in kind of a genre film like that.
Jeffrey's character, whatever amalgam of justifications and mythology he has to justify his actions, at the end of the day, what happens is that he's not seeing the other people as humans.
Come on, Track. They can't go far. We'll get them tomorrow.
It's very much this kind of two-character cat and mouse game that's going on, but the third character seems to be the desert itself.
The movie's called Desierto because perhaps of all the three characters, the desert is the most important character, is the battleground for this story, and it was very tricky to film because, you know, in the desert you don't have that many hours where the light's decent, and when we did have decent light, we had to find a way to get all that plethora of frames.
I think there's a couple times in the film where characters are told to hide, and I remember looking across that expanse of the frame and going, where?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the kind of the film exercise that he did with us. I mean, that's the challenge, no? Like, where do you hide in the desert? That could be a tagline.
Well, thank you both very much for coming out here to San Diego and to KPBS.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Desierto opens at AMC Palm Promenade today. Burnell will also be a special guest at the Rise Up concert tomorrow. Go to your local home improvement store and you'll find a stack of fire lumber. Go to Palomar College in San Marcos and there's a veritable candy store of hardwoods. KPBS education reporter Megan Burks looks at a program that's turning unwanted trees into lumber that would make any hobbyist swoon.
A sawyer, that's someone who operates a saw, fires up the mill at Palomar College to cut a log of black acacia into boards. The wood came from a yard in Rancho Santa Fe and will be used by students in the school's cabinet and furniture making technology program, probably for a gorgeous table with silky graining. The college partners with arborists and cities to recycle trees into exotic lumber.
This is a mill much like the one we operate on a daily basis right here.
Lead instructor Jack Stone says he's working with nonprofit Tree San Diego to expand the mill operation into an urban forestry program that would certify students and educate the community on what to plant.
Which trees exactly both have good carbon reduction qualities and also are usable. And in Southern California, water-wise is a big element as well.
One roadblock is a plan by school administrators to move the mill to make room for classrooms. That could put it out of commission for more than a year. But Stone isn't discouraged. He and his sawyers are stocking up. Megan Burks, KPBS News.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.